My cousin falsely accused me of a serious crime, and now, after almost 10 years, my family is finally reaching out to me. I grew up in what seemed like a typical family. My parents worked a lot, but always made sure to care for me and my 3 older sisters. We were never super close, but we never had any major issues either. The same goes for my extended family. They lived a few hours away, but we saw each other during summer holidays or Christmas and always got along well. As we got older, we naturally grew apart, each of us focusing on our own lives. I'm 31 now. In 2014, when I was 22 and attending university, I received a phone call from my mother that completely changed my life. I remember not answering at first because I was gaming with friends, but then she called again. In my family, if you call twice like that, it's usually because something important has happened. I answered the call, and it immediately felt like something was wrong. I heard people arguing in the background. Then, when my mom realized I had picked up, I could hear her moving to another room, closing the door. I asked what was going on, and she started crying. I don't remember the exact details of the conversation, but she essentially asked if I had something to confess about my cousin. E is my cousin on my mom's side, and she's 7 years younger than me. At that time, she was 15, and I hadn't seen her in years. I just said no and asked what was going on. My mom then started accusing me of doing something inappropriate when we were younger. She said that E had told my sister, and that my sister had told her and my aunt. E had apparently said that when she was 9 and I was 16, I had done things to her while she was in my room. I was shocked. I couldn't even speak at first. It felt so unreal. I remember thinking that this had to be a bad joke. The last thing I remember saying was that it wasn't true and that he was lying. But then my mom continued, saying how detailed E's description was of the incident. She kept asking, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" Overwhelmed, I just screamed, "No." The call ended with my mom putting me on speakerphone and both my parents telling me that they never wanted to hear from me again. They said they didn't want anything to do with me. Later that day, 2 of my sisters texted me, calling me disgusting, and then blocked me. It may sound strange, but after that call, I took a long shower. To this day, I don't know why I did that. After calming down, I tried to contact everyone, even E, but no one answered. The few people who hadn't blocked my number did so soon after. The only response I received was from my father, who told me to stop contacting them because they needed time to heal. That was 9 years ago. Since that day, I haven't spoken to anyone in my family. To say this completely devastated me would be an understatement. I spent weeks in a daze, unable to eat or think clearly. This happened just before I was supposed to defend my bachelor's thesis, adding even more stress. Thankfully, my co-writer realized something was wrong and helped manage the situation during my thesis presentation, making sure I only had to present the easier parts. Without him, I probably would have failed. No one came to my graduation. The next year was the darkest of my life. I expected the police to show up at my door at any moment, ready to arrest me for something I didn't do. I couldn't find work and had to live off my savings. I turned to drinking and struggled with substance use. I became resentful and angry, but the only thing that stopped me from hurting anyone was that no one was around. A neighbor once called the police after I smashed a glass, but I convinced the officers I had just dropped it and they left. Instead of sleeping, I spent my nights consumed by anger and thoughts of revenge. I know it's not something I should be proud of, but in that dark place, I wondered how I could make E feel the same pain she had caused me. In late 2015, I landed my first real job and things slowly started to improve. Work gave me something normal to focus on, and I started to feel a bit more in control. Recovery was a long process, but I drank less and smiled more. I kept things simple, earning a decent living, but I made sure to treat myself to small rewards, like a VR headset, a motorcycle, or a Lego set. Last year, I moved into a small house, something I had always dreamed of, with my own garage and a garden to care for. It was a big step forward, and I felt proud of what I had accomplished. Life is okay now, though I still struggle. I've been on antidepressants for the past few years, and while they help, they don't bring happiness. They simply dull the darkest thoughts, replacing them with an emptiness I don't know how to describe. My trust in people is almost non-existent. I've tried dating but haven't had much success. I've only been on 2 dates, and it's hard for me to open up. When a potential partner asks about my family, what do I say? Oh, well, they accused me of something horrible and haven't spoken to me in years, but I didn't do it, I swear. In my field, I mostly work with men, so the only woman I really talk to is my therapist, who I trust a lot. A few days ago, I received a message from my mother. It felt surreal, and I was afraid to open it at first. I stared at the notification for hours before finally opening it. The second message was a bit longer and basically said, Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notification bell to stay updated.